Hello my friends and welcome. Today I would like to go through casting on and knit stitch. Casting on is basically making foundation row of the stitches. So what you need is yarn and 2 knitting needles. So we measure off approximately 50 centimeters from the end tail of the yarn, and we'll do the first stitch or a slip knot. Yarn over 2 fingers, make a cross, put the needle through the loop, hook the yarn and pull it through and tighten up. So that's the first stitch there. Now as you can see we have 2 strands of yarn. We'll use both strands. So short end or the tail of the yarn goes over your thumb, and the long end goes over your forefinger, like that. Use the rest of your fingers to hold them both together. There needs to be slight tension. And then take your right hand needle and put it under the yarn on the thumb, over the yarn where the forefinger is, and pull it through the loop and tighten up. Under the yarn, over the forefinger one, through the loop. Under, over, through the loop. If the string, if the thread goes kind of sloppy, you can just adjust it and make it tighter. So let's do that again. Put the needle under the yarn, rotate it over and pull through and tighten it up. Over and through. Now that we've done some casting on, we'll do some knitting. The first thing is you turn your knitting over. So the knitting is in your left hand, and that's called left hand needle. The long tail of the yarn is going to go under the needle and over your forefinger there, and we will keep a strand with other fingers there. So to make a knit stitch, you take needle in your right hand and put it through first stitch from the front and the bottom. Then rotate your needle over the yarn, hook it and pull it through the stitch there. pull it through and slide it off the left needle. The first stitch is done. So again, let's put the tip of the needle in the stitch from the bottom, rotate it over yarn and pull it through the stitch there. Into the stitch from the bottom, over the yarn and back through the loop and slide it off. They're a bit tight, you just kind of loosen them up a little bit with your right hand needle over the yarn through the stitch, from the bottom over the yarn through the stitch. And continue to the end of the row. Sometimes if you hold these stitches too close to the end of the tip, they might slip off, so to start with, it's better to keep them around 2.5 centimeters from the tip. The first row is a bit fiddly. When you if you can keep knitting, and it will get better. And the last stitch, do the same. Now the first row is done. We turn the knitting over, put the yarn under the left hand needle and continue the same knit stitch. When you turn your knitting over and start a new row, and make sure that you find the right stitch. Sometimes it can be a bit of confusing, especially at the start. The stitch we're working with is the one on the needle, so you might loosen it up a bit like that. Maybe even pull your knitting a little bit down. You see the stitches clearly there. When you start a new row, knit the first stitch and tug it slightly so it sits firmly on the needle and forms a nice edge of the knitting. So if you knit if you knit every row in your knitting, you're creating garter stitch, which you can recognize by horizontal ridges across the knitting there in every second row. It's nice and straight, even rows. It doesn't curl or bend, and it's the same from the both sides.